I'd never given much thought to how I would die.
What an interesting opening line, by the way.
But dying in the place of someone I love seems like a good way to go.
Very aware I've not done the intro to this video yet, but that's interesting. Interesting opening 2 lines that captures the audience. It's like, wait, hang on. Do you know what I mean? It gets you as the audience asking so many questions. It's like, wait, you're gonna die right now, this film? Like, wait, why though? Because you don't know, you fill in the gaps. You as the audience do the work. Instantly, just drags you in. And then with the second line, it's like, oh, love. Getting that hook into a certain demographic. In the first 2 lines, 20 seconds into the film, it's like, boom, got ya. Just a little hug.
I would miss Phoenix, but they want to go on the road, so I'm gonna spend some time with my dad.
Really good opening. Gives you so much context, and we're like, a minute 51 in.
There's a small town named Forks.
I say that, this is okay, this is a bit of an exposition dump, fair play, okay.
My dad's Charlie. He's the chief of police.
Got a stunning mustache, mate, if I do say so myself.
Hair's longer.
Cut it since the last time I saw you.
Oh. Guess it grew out again.
Yep. Immediately sets the tone as well for their relationship and where they're at, right? They're a little estranged, they don't talk often, or at the very least, Charlie's a little bit socially awkward, right? You get all of that in that little conversation. By the way, I'm so sorry. So far, all I've done is absolutely stroke the massive of Twilight so far. That's not necessarily what this video is about, but it's opened really strongly and it's doing a lot of things very well.
I used to spend 2 weeks there almost every summer, but it's been years.
See, I'd argue it didn't even need that line there. That line and what it's trying to communicate in that line of like, I've not been here for a while, I've not seen my dad in a while. That was actually captured in that little interaction between her and her dad in the car. It does a lot of work very well, then dumps some exposition on you in a way that it doesn't need to.
Oh, right. One bathroom.
Yo, yikes.
Okay.
Yeah, more awkwardness, and it gives you the hope that they're going to build that relationship as we go forward, right? I don't think they really do all that much. Thinking about the rest of Twilight and the rest of the franchise, I don't think they focus a lot on Charlie and her relationship, which is interesting because, like, yeah, I feel like they maybe could have done a bit more with that.
I'm glad you're finally here. Charlie here hasn't shut up about it since you told him you were coming.
Oh, Jakey boy. Hello, keep that smile to yourself, mate.
I'm Jacob.
Yeah, you are. Sorry, I'll calm down.
I go to school on the reservation.
It's too bad. It would have been nice to know one person.
That actually shows you as well. I feel a lot about Bella, right? It's like she doesn't have many friends. And I'm not saying that to sound awful, but it also ties back into the reason that she's leaving Phoenix. You're leaving Phoenix really quickly. It's like, oh, I can easily just be like, I don't really want to do what you're doing, Mum. I'm going to go see my dad. There's a lot left unsaid about it, but I feel like that does say a lot. Shouldn't have many ties, if any, at all in Phoenix. Friends, her family's going. She doesn't have anything in Phoenix. Especially, it opened and she was like, yeah, I miss the heat. Not my friends. Without actually telling you any of it, it shows you that she's perhaps a little bit socially awkward. She doesn't have many friends and it might be a struggle for her going to this school. And I feel like that's something that the audience can get on side, right? I feel like a lot of us have gone through that, something like that similar. Maybe not everybody, but I feel like it's quite a common thing. And automatically it gets you as the audience behind her. You're in it together. You're like, oh, come on, nah, you got this, man. It's fine. It automatically gets you on a side, which is so important for, you know, a protagonist in any kind of media.
Nice ride.
Thanks.
Oh yeah, so super top joke, mate. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Eric. Anything you need? Tour guide, lunch date, shoulder to cry on?
What a weird way to go up to someone.
Oh, wait. No, that's dumb.
Instantly. Instant.
Yeah, hey, I'm Mike Newton.
Guys, you've got games going on. Can you just get back to them? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I'm Jessica, by the way.
I always forget Anna Kendrick's in this. Again, by the way, I like what it's doing with like Bella as the protagonist, right? It's this representation that you don't often get, even now. It's more popular nowadays, I'd say. But the quiet girl, she's been demonstrated as not being good at sports. You know, she's coming in her dad's hand-me-down. It's the underdog. She's the underdog, right, in this film, which I feel like is always a good technique to get the audience, again, on her side. But also, this representation of her as, I guess, not being good at things, right? It's showing us that. But then also, we're getting this guy here, this popular guy, I guess. Anna Kendrick's coming over. She's clearly got a thing for him, looking at her and being like, wow, hello, okay. Do you know what I mean? So I like that. It's striking a little bit away from the popular norm, I guess, that we were maybe getting a little bit more around this time of our protagonist being good at something, being automatically good looking and getting everyone to come over. Do you know what I mean? And nothing against Kristen Stewart. I think she's a good looking person, but I'd say she's not necessarily traditionally good looking that you get a lot of the time in Hollywood, right? And I like that. It's more representative of everybody, just a normal person in high school. You're not necessarily standing out, but that's not a bad thing, which I think is really healthy. A really healthy representation of like a high school student.
It's supposed to be like really tan.
Maybe that's why they kicked me out.
It's so funny.
I know the pain though. I swear to God, I can go anywhere and I will just maintain this level of pallor. White people, you know. No, do you know what? Actually, never mind. No, don't do that.
You're homegirl.
Yeah.
My girl.
Whoa. Mild assault. Hey, Mike. Tyler. He's called Tyler? No way. Oh, come on. Wait, which one's Tyler again? Was it not the assaulter? No, he is. It's the assaulty one.
There's no way he said.
Oh.
Blue.
Oh, you know it. Oh, you know it.
The Cullens.
All right, let's see how cringe this is. I honestly don't remember how this plays.
Like, together.
No, they're styling it out. That's fine.
The little dark-haired girl's Alice. She's really weird.
I like how she's the weird one and she did a twirl as she came in. Guys, we got to make sure she's perceived as weird by people. How are we going to do it, Jeff? How are we going to do it, mate? What you got? What you got? Oh, I don't know. Jeff, get out. Steve, what you got, mate? Angela. Maybe she could do a twirl. Fucking gold dust, mate. Oh, yeah, she's weird.
She's with Jasper, the blonde one who looks like he's in pain.
He does.
Who's he?
Oh.
That's Edward Cullen. Totally gorgeous.
It's not even cringe, man. They're actually pulling it off. It's kind of funny as well. Like the Jasper thing was genuinely funny. And like, I'm not being funny. The rest of them, they just sauntered in. It was absolutely normal. Like they didn't even do any slow-mo. I thought honestly that was slow-mo. Oh, and a mystery. We like it. And with that, hello and welcome. We are watching Twilight today. It's been a good old long time since I've seen this film. A good decade. So I thought, well, why not go back and have a look, see what we think of this film. I think it's quite fair to say there's a lot of cringe, a lot of negativity associated with this franchise. Me personally, I liked the first film. Sequels lost me a little bit, I will be honest with you. But after the first film, I read the books. I love the books. Honestly, I've changed, as I'm sure you all have since watching this film. I thought, let's go back. Let's see if my opinions change. Let's analyze and have a little bit of a deep dive into it and see, is it a good film? We shall find out. With that said, thank you once again, welcome, and without further ado, let's have a look. Oh, he has got an erection. Guys, say hi. Say something. Oh god, Edward, mate, back down. By the way, it's not lost on me that there's some angel-like wings by the side of his head.
Just have to endure it.
I love that he went for the door slam. It just didn't.
I planned to confront him, but he never showed.
Coming into this film for the first time, you don't actually know what the deal is, right? It's intriguing. It pushes this mystery towards the audience, right? And it's like, okay, I want to find out. It makes it all the more compelling. Yeah, horror elements as well, you know, which is great. I feel like that's what you kind of want from a vampire movie. What I kind of want. Yeah, a little bit of gore, a little bit of gruesome mystery. You know what I mean? More mystery. It's like, who are these guys? More vampires? Is it the Cullens? Do you know what I mean? It's like layer on layer. Oh, those are some spanking gloves, mate. Oh God, I'm so sorry I distracted you, that's fair.
I gotta head down to Mason County. Security guard at the Grisham Mill got killed by some kind of animal.
An animal?
Tell you what, the film's pacey, man.
You're not in Phoenix anymore, Bills.
Thanks for the tires.
Yeah.
I wish, do you know what I wish actually? Because I don't feel like there's a lot of focus on Bella and Charlie and their relationship. I wish there was more, because I feel like it's setting that up here, but I don't feel like it pushes down on that enough. The story focus shifts towards Edward and the vampires, right? Which is fair and fine. But like, I'm just seeing an opportunity here. Maybe I'm forgetting, right? Maybe I'm forgetting, but the fear perhaps from Bella's point of view of he's going out and encountering vampires, right? And I wonder, I can't remember, maybe she does. Maybe once she finds out, she starts to get more worried about Charlie. And I wish the film had played around with that, because I don't ever feel like Charlie was in danger. But he should be, right? He's going to help out with this vampire killing, and it's like there could be a lot of fodder used for that. I don't think they necessarily tap the potential for that relationship and the peril that Charlie could come under and how that can affect Bella.
That was really awesome.
Oh, he's back.
Hello.
Good, thank you.
I didn't get a chance to introduce myself last week. I'm Edward Cullen.
Normalcy, I like it.
You're Bella?
Yes.
Oh, don't say you're Bella. No. Let her do that bit, dude.
You were gone.
Yeah.
Or you could just be like, you alright, mate? You been ill?
Proface.
Do you mind if I, look? It's Proface.
Like I said.
So you're enjoying the rain?
What a weird thing to ask.
What?
You're asking me about the weather?
Very British.
I don't really like the rain. Any cold, wet thing, I don't really...
Oh man, slugs did nothing to you.
What?
Nothing.
What a weird conversation. But do you know what? Do you know what it's doing that a lot of romance films or TV shows don't do? Is they're actually establishing a rapport and a relationship between two characters. I can't tell you the amount of things that I've seen, and I'm supposed to believe that they like each other, and it's like, I can't see it, and you've not shown me these two people actually getting on or having a conversation. And I know that seems like an unbelievable thing, but like, it happens more often than you think. And I feel like this conversation is so unique, so weird, so original for that. It feels more normal for it. It feels like less of a manufactured script and more of a normal conversation, I feel like, for that. And I think builds up this relationship between these two characters too.
You mind if I check?
Yes, get him, mate.
And a face.
Like I said,
Yeah, and you have that little bit there as well, and the symmetry and the parallel with the conversation kind of weaving in between it. It's nice. It's well written.
if you hate the cold and the rain so much, why'd you move to the wettest place in the continental U.S.?
Valid question.
It's complicated.
I'm sure I can keep up.
My mom remarried and,
You don't like the guy?
Yeah, and we've got here to this part of the conversation really naturally. It came from one of the first things that they said in the conversation, with Edward being like, do you like the rain? Which was weird and kind of cute, right? Like, it's cutesy, which is how you're meant to perceive that, right? Because they're the two leads in this film that you're supposed to want to ship. Because of the weather thing and the rain, it's like, oh, why do you want to come here then? And suddenly now we're getting onto deeper topics. They're actually building the relationship. They're getting to know each other. Really natural conversation, really well written conversation.
You don't like the guy?
no, I mean, that's not, it feels really nice.
Yeah, and he can't figure her out.
It's Metaface. You want to check it?
I believe you.
There you go. And building trust, right? There's some trust there now. She believes him.
Phil's a minor league baseball player. He travels a lot. And my mom stayed home with me, but I knew it made her happy, so.
Right, and it shows that she's more of an adult almost than her mom, making a really mature decision. Again, tells you a lot about Bella.
And now you're unhappy?
No.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to figure you out.
Wow, okay, I remembered that.
Your eyes were black the last time I saw you.
It's the fluorescence.
Amazing. It's such a quirky script. I feel like there's a conflict of genres a little bit happening so far. The dark, grotesque, the peculiar vampire gore versus the teen high school romance. We've got the two sides. And I feel like this film, at least so far, is balancing those two sides. I think maybe why I liked the sequels less was because they moved more towards the teen romance and kind of further away from the weird and the peculiar and the gore. And again, maybe I'm misremembering. And I feel like this film is stronger for that as well. Hey, I don't know. It's kind of weird, isn't it? I mean, he's 100 and something. How old's Bella at this point? Is she like 16, 17? It's a bit weird, isn't it? Let's be honest with ourselves. A little bit of like, yeah, hey, it's not ideal, right? I mean, I suppose different species at the end of the day, do you know what I mean? It's like we see dogs in dog years and stuff, and it's like she wants to f a dog, Tyler. Okay, fine. Maybe there's no moralizing this. Let's just forget about it. Let's just move on. Oh, it's always Tyler, isn't it? Bit of light assault. Attempted murder. There we go. Oh, this is quite early in the film. This is 21 minutes in the film when she's actually finding out a little bit more of the supernatural. Do you know what I mean? It's really pacey. The pace is super quick.
You can kiss your license goodbye.
Oh, there he is. I'll be honest with you, right? I know a lot of you aren't gonna like what I've got to say right now, but I don't appreciate the only prominent black actor in this is always the source of the hurt. Not ideal. Oh God, stop it, Tyler. Just enjoy the film. Honestly, it's a pattern all the time in media, and we've got to call it out, man.
It's about all of us.
I think we should take this to my office.
Wow, guys, be less supernatural out in public, please.
How did you get over to me so fast?
I was standing right next to you, Bella.
The gaslighting.
No, I wasn't.
The bald-faced lie.
Well, nobody's gonna believe you. So. Well, then I hope you enjoy disappointment.
Very broody little vampire, isn't he? Oh God, I forgot he completely just breached her room. Oh my God. Do you know what I mean? It's so creepy. It's very vampiric. Vampires are creepy, man. I appreciate it, you know what I mean? It's funny, I feel like the impression that you always get from Twilight is people always reference the glitter, the body glitter, and the teen romance stuff. And I feel like people don't necessarily remember all of the kind of the quirky dialogue, the weird dialogue, which I feel like is quite charming as well, honestly. The fact that he's doing very questionable things, getting very obsessed with. And by the way, it makes sense almost that, you know, she is the age that she is and he gets obsessed with her, because it's not a romantic thing for him. Sorry, a little bit of obviously me knowing where the story goes, of like he can't read her mind, so he's very curious, he needs to know about her, right? And I feel like that as an actual, the reason for his obsession with her is very understandable. Maybe goes a little bit of the way to counteract the weirdness and the creepiness of this older vampire being so obsessed with this younger girl, right? I think that element of it evokes Bram Stoker's Dracula a little bit. This powerful older being curious about this younger woman.
Prom?
I have something that weekend anyway.
Oh, a happy little boy.
Very good, very good.
Now, I'm gonna make a steep
He's actually a great teacher.
of compost tea.
Overlooked a little bit, but he's great. His enthusiasm, his little golden onion thing, I love that.
What's in Jacksonville?
My man, stop being so weird. Forget that, I like it. Be more weird.
I mean, you don't even say hi to me.
Hi.
You're gonna tell me how you stopped the van?
I had an adrenaline rush. It's very common. You can Google it.
He's so proud of himself.
Guess who just asked me to prom?
Yeah, and it's funny, isn't it? He's very socially awkward as well, right? Which is very interesting. He's presented as this popular kid, right? You know, good looking, all of the girls like him, and he's awkward. I feel like he uses that mind reading ability as a crutch a lot of the time. And actually, I think it's influenced him a lot characteristically. I think without that, he is very awkward. He doesn't know where to go. It's like, I don't quite know how to perceive Edward, which I think is an interesting place to put his character. He feels very not socialized, which is fair. I think they're very private creatures. They're isolated from society to a large extent. Sorry, no point to this at all, I guess, other than to kind of wax philosophical maybe about vampires if they existed and, you know, their place in society and how that affects them on a social level. And then I suppose how we perceive them in regards to age and, you know, their adolescence as a vampire in this new life, right? I'm identifying, or at least examining, the representation, at least in this film, of what we're supposed to see when we see Edward. And I think we're supposed to see a bit of a kid, and I think they're doing that quite well.
Bella, look. It's a worm. It's a worm.
Amazing. Kids actually acting like kids.
Your mom called. She seems different. She seems happy.
Oh, yeah, and interesting. What we know from Bella and from what she's told us, him saying to her, yeah, your mum sounds happy. Oh, that's a bit of a jab for Bella, right? Because the whole point of her decision to come to Forks was to give her the freedom, because she could tell this maturity again. She could tell that her mum was unhappy and she wanted to go and live her life and travel and all that stuff. And she didn't, because she was being, you know, mature and wanted to stay with Bella, her child, and look after her child, which was fair. Charlie being like, yeah, she's different. She's happy. And I know that's not why necessarily, but the connotations there for Bella is that she's happier without Bella. We've seen from that scene before that Bella feels like she's holding her mum back, which is why she made this decision. And God bless her. Bless Bella. I have so much sympathy for her in this situation. And Charlie, bless him, not realizing.
Bella,
Very smooth.
what if I'm not the hero? What if I'm the bad guy?
Oh. And again, right, I feel like that's very cringy dialogue. I think Robert pulls that off, if I'm honest with you. He does a really good job of that.
I can see what you're trying to put off, but I can see that it's just to keep people away from you. It's a mask.
It makes sense that she's that observational too. We've been shown that she's mature. Like, the characterization of these two coming together in this way makes absolute sense from what they've established early in the film. Her observational maturity, his kind of social awkwardness and unsurety based upon him being out of his element and actually not being able to read her, and the awkwardness and the quirkiness and humor that ensues because of that. It's a really nice little recipe.
Is there something wrong with that beach?
It's just a little crowded.
Oh yeah, they can't go because of the walls, right?
So I keep thinking that Eric's gonna ask me to the prom.
You should ask him.
Yeah, man.
Take control.
Assert
You're a
yourself.
strong, independent woman.
Bang.
I am.
Yes.
Yes.
Bella, she's a great character, man. She's like empowering her friends, the people around her. Like, she's genuinely a good person, dude.
She invited Edward.
To be polite, that's it.
I think it's nice she invited him. Nobody ever does.
Yeah, because Colin's a freak.
You got that right. The Cullens don't come here.
Vada Mysterios. Yeah, to be fair though, as well, this dialogue, and I feel like they do a really good job as well of like the teen dialogue. They sound like kids. You know, the boys are kind of petty about her liking Edward, inviting Edward because they kind of have a thing for Bella. The other girl, she's, you know, lamenting that the person she liked doesn't ask her out to prom. It all makes sense. It's a well-written film, dude. I like that they keep their hats on during hunting. A very polite vampire. God. For real, mate.
What are they really?
It's just a story, Bella.
Again, just, you know, really pushing forward with that intrigue. I feel like you know that they're vampires, right? Before this came out. Surely it was in the trailer. It's teasing you. Even though you know it's teasing you. There's something to be said for holding the audience in that suspense, I feel. Making them wait until the secret's out. Oh, this guy f***ed.
Nice jacket.
Why does he have to be shirtless? Sorry, what? You know he's a bad guy because his nipples are out.
I'm going to the prom with Eric. I just asked him, I took control.
Yes, man. Well done. Well done.
Right?
Yuck. Oh, yikes.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Where are you going?
Man, the worst guys, huh?
Get in the car.
To be fair to him, cool entrance, man. Again, that has every right to be cringe. He pulls that off, man. Okay, fine. If he didn't pull it off for you, that's fair enough. He at least did the best that he could with how that was written. It's a really hard thing to actually execute. You can write down, you know, stage directions and dialogue and whatever else. And sometimes I feel like people write stuff and don't actually like practically think like how the actor's going to do that. And sometimes that's literally an actor's job, is to deal with that kind of dialogue, deal with that kind of action, and make something that could potentially be very cringe feel real or cool or something. And I think, honestly, he's done his job there. Nice. To be fair though, not being funny, should have torn one of them apart or something. Do you know what I mean? They won't be doing shit like that again.
We should go back there and rip those guys' heads off.
Yes! Can we have that film?
You should put your seatbelt on.
You should put your seatbelt on. I think I should make sure Bella gets something to eat. If you like.
Oh, you smooth talker, you. Like, it's still kind of weird. And I'm not just talking about the age difference, just genuinely how they're presenting themselves and how these scenes are playing.
Let me know.
Her hair is magnificent, by the way.
I feel very protective of you.
See, that's very PG so far, to be fair to him. I maintain, right, I feel like this film genuinely, okay, fine, this is absolutely fan fiction at this point. I feel like this film would be better if it wasn't romantic from his side. And like he says, he's just very protective of her. And it's like this curiosity, right? He's curious about her because he can't read her mind. And it's like going through what he's gone through, the powers that he has, encountering that, you would absolutely be so curious. You'd be like, why? And having your power stripped from you. I feel like that's so realistic that he would be protective of her. You know, this idea that he needs to protect this anomaly that he hasn't got the answers for yet, considering he has the answers for everything else because everyone else's mind is an open book to him. That absolutely makes sense, and I feel like it would be almost a more interesting dynamic. I think, again, it goes away from the romance, teen romance side of things, but it would be more interesting, at least to me, if, like, from his point of view, it wasn't romantic. From her, obviously, teen girl, good-looking guy, that's what he is in the high school and how he's perceived. I think it's completely natural that she would kind of fancy him and want a little bit more. Just at this point in the film, I kind of like the idea of him, this vampire, being like, no, I don't want to do that. It's a bit weird. You're like, what, 16, 17? I just feel protective of you. And I feel like his motivations being that and her motivations being that would have just meant a very interesting conflict of interest and dynamic. I feel like there's a lot of intrigue, a lot of potential that could have been in that sort of relationship. I know that was never going to happen, right? I feel like romance, obviously that was, you know, a staple of the books. That's what the books are about. And I feel like that's such a demographic that you need to tap into, that they did tap into, that meant the success of these films, right? I absolutely get it. But for a moment here, it is extremely interesting, at least as a premise going forward. The dynamic that they currently have.
Sex. Cat.
Nice. I'd like to be that man's friend.
I don't have the strength to stay away from you anymore.
Yeah, there's something very compelling. I feel like because of what I was talking about before, the dynamic and his motivations versus hers, I feel like as a foundation, apart from the romance, that's interesting and compelling to me. And I feel like that's what makes almost the romance interesting, because you have that layer beneath it.
He died?
Animal attack. Waylon was your father's friend.
I feel like it's at this point, maybe it should have gone maybe a little more towards Charlie and her dynamic and relationship with Charlie and built that up a little bit more. I feel like it's a weakness actually, and I know Charlie's in the rest of them, but I do feel like obviously, you know, the focus is more on the Cullens, the vampires and the larger threats. And I feel like there's a lot of untapped potential in, like I said, again, so I repeat myself a little bit, of the relationship between Bella and Charlie. And like I say, I feel like this would be a great opportunity to dial down a little bit on that and see how Charlie's affected by it, and for Bella to be there for him for a little bit. And then, you know, through that, you could obviously, there's the vampire threat, and you could have Charlie maybe going out on his own, putting himself in danger, being like, and now he's personally invested because his friends died, trying to find out. It's like, animal attack, this doesn't make sense. What's this? Do you know what I mean? in and play around with that a little bit more. And through that, there's a funnel back towards the main overarching plot of the vampires. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like that's a little bit of a missed opportunity to tie Charlie into it a little bit more into the narrative.
I'm going on 30 years.
Right. And I get it. You've got a runtime to get to, right? You can't have too much in your film. You've got to focus somewhere, but...
Don't worry, we're gonna find this thing.
Yeah, I feel like it's viable because you could tie them into each other. Oh man, could you imagine if the vampires turned into that? I'm just imagining Robert Pattinson in a bat costume. Wait, hang on.
And sometimes you speak like you're from a different time.
Does he? I don't know that he does.
How old are you?
Oh.
17.
Right, that's supposed to be 7. Okay.
How long have you been 17?
Good question.
A while.
I know what you are.
Say it. It's a little bit indulgent, isn't it?
Say it.
Yes, master. What?
Vampire.
Are you afraid?
Yeah, see, I feel like right now,
No.
it's treading the line between...
What do we eat?
That's a bit on the nose. But I feel like it's treading the line between grotesque horror, kind of a little bit darker, and teen romance. Kind of tapping into that horror a little bit. Say it. What am I? You know, this dominance of the vampire, wielding his vampirism over her a little bit. Sorry. Yeah, and I feel like it falls apart a little bit, the sunlight thing. Sorry, I know some people love the glitter, and it's not that I hate it, I just feel like there's better choices.
This is why we don't show ourselves in sunlight.
Yeah, because it's like that. It's like the only reason it exists is to give an arbitrary reason as to why they can't come out in the sun, right? It's just to give like a different reason as to the mythological thing that we know of why they can't come out in the sunlight, right? It's like, oh, glittery skin.
It's like diamonds.
And I feel like this is what a lot of people don't like about the vampires in this. I know that. It's not even that I necessarily disagree, but I don't necessarily agree either. I just don't think it does anything. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't serve a purpose other than to, like I say, I think it's an arbitrary reason as to why they can't come out in the sunlight. But I'm like, I feel like everything that I've seen so far in the film, the vampires have been depicted in a very horrific way. Or not horrific, but like there's horror elements to it. Whenever we've talked about it, or Bella's talked about it, or been like processing it in her head and was reading that book, it was all about horror, horrific images of these monsters. Literally the scene before this where they were in the woods and he was like, say it, the misty woods. There is this like element, this through line of horror of like what's gonna happen here, and I feel like this dismantles that a little bit. And I don't think it's even necessarily a bad thing to have them obviously have something happen to them in the sunlight. I don't know, maybe have their skin go like translucent and you see their bones, and their bones are different. They're more like, you know, like that picture in the book where it was like much more bat-like. Some element of that. I feel like if they'd have used it to enhance the horror of them, because then that's interesting from a character perspective, because then Bella for the first time and consistently through this story would see Edward as a monster more so. Or that's the point as well, is like when she doesn't see him as a monster, which is what she says as we go on and as we go into sequels and stuff, she doesn't see them as monsters. She sees them as more human. And I feel like that decision and that process that she goes through as a character would mean more if he is depicted visually as a monster. And I feel like would say more about how she cares for him and how much she sees who he is despite that. Do you know what I mean? And so that's what I mean when I say like this doesn't do anything. I feel like you could have used this as a device to enhance the character choices Bella's making, whereas it doesn't actually enhance anything characteristically for any of them. It literally just means that you can't go out in sunlight because it's a bit weird. You know, people would be looking like, what's that about? And I feel like as well, that's what some of the vampire purists perhaps look at this and don't like. And I feel like you could have fixed that by doing something like that and still maintained what this film and franchise is about. Just a little change that would have made it, I feel like, a lot better. It tries to be like, yeah, they're beautiful, and it glorifies the vampire, which I don't think is what the film has been doing so far. The film so far has been trying to paint them as these horrific nightmare creatures, which I think it's been doing a very good job of until this point.
You're beautiful.
Yeah. But I don't know, what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. Do you like the glitter skin? Why? Let me know. I'm curious. And hey, you're not wrong, by the way. I'm not right either. It's just my own personal taste coming through.
It's the skin of the killer, Bill.
Oh, but it's not though. Do you know what I mean? That line would have made much more sense if it was actually something more horrific.
As if you could fight me off.
I'm not being funny, right? If he'd have punched a tree trunk at that point and it just fell down, that would have been way more impressive.
It does not matter.
I feel like it should.
I wanted to kill you.
I feel like Edward's a really interesting character study, honestly.
I'm here. I trust you.
It's at this point for me, I'd like a little bit more from Bella's point of view. I was like, yeah, why does she like him at this point? She is mature. Surely she'd be like, oh, this is a bit weird. I need to back off now. But then again, no, maybe she sees past that, right? And that's the importance of the scene where he protected her from the guys in Port Angeles. That was such an integral part of the film. Because other than that, he is just a weird killer vampire. And he can say he's protective all he wants. He's never done it. But like that moment there showed his true colors to her. And so I think there's that maturity coming through of like, yeah, I appreciate you're a vampire, mate. I get it. I get the message. But I can see you're a good person. And I guess as well, you know, shows the reflection of her high school immaturity that she's almost giving into her, I say that, but you know, adults do this too, of the feelings that she's got for him. She likes him. There's attraction there. You know, they've had those conversations that I referenced before where they are actually building a relationship. They are. This is maybe the first time that she's felt this way for a boy. There's that obviously working within her, as well as the maturity to see past perhaps the things, like I say, that should push her away, and she can see that there's some good in there. And the film's giving you all of that. So it's like, as much as I was almost, my knee-jerk reaction was like, that doesn't make sense, Bella. What do you mean? Like, it genuinely, it does.
Why did you hate me so much when we met?
Only for making me want you so badly.
Okay, a little bit high school romance now.
Tell me what you're thinking.
Sorry, I love every time.
I don't know how long I've waited for you.
Okay, it's a bit strong, mate. Calm down. Yeah, it's like, why can't they just be friends? Do you know what I mean?
So the lion fell in love with the lamb.
Weird way to phrase that, mate. I'll be honest with you, man. You want to f a sheep is all I'm hearing. Yeah, we're absolutely leaning very much into the high school romance element of the genre here, aren't we? But I think it's these elements that the franchise takes more firmly and moves forward with. You know what I mean? I'm just like, how much better would it have? I feel like it would have been better if when the song came out at this point, he was like ashamed of how he looked and she's like, no, it's fine. Do you know? I just feel like that would have as well like solidified more about their relationship. Very happy with himself, isn't he?
First with me, and then with his wife, Esme.
Wait, first with you and then with his wife? How is his wife younger than Edward?
I don't want to be a monster.
Yeah, see, that would have been better, I feel like, if we'd actually seen him as a monster.
It's like a human only living on tofu.
Dude.
Keeps you strong, but you're never fully satisfied.
What? Add a bit of cumin, mate.
Wouldn't be like drinking your blood, for instance.
Still weird. I like it. Yeah, speak for yourself, dude. I'm not being funny. I can live off tofu. Absolutely fine. You just got to cook it properly.
Alice can see the future.
I bet she saw me coming.
Hang on. He just dropped that bomb and she's like, I bet she saw me coming. Ask more questions, man. Bella, a bit more curiosity, please. All right, guys, chill. And I get it, right? Like, look at this. You know, they're doing a lot to counter. That's the point of this as well, to actually show a different vampire. And hey, I absolutely appreciate that. I think at the time, a lot of people did appreciate it for that, right? They were trying to tell a different kind of vampire and break away from the mold and, you know, do something new. Something like this. And what they were trying to do here is a breath of fresh air too. As much as I'm talking about, you know, oh, maybe they could have done this or this or this or this to retain a little bit of the horrific of the vampire that's been done time and time again. As much as I'm saying that, I can also appreciate what they were shooting for. Oh, this is sweet though. Oh, of course, yeah, because they learn how to cook.
Here comes the human.
It's really sweet that they put in the effort to actually accommodate her.
Giving us an excuse to use the kitchen for the first time.
I hope you're hungry.
Yeah, absolutely.
She already ate.
Edward, man.
Perfect.
You need to relax.
The entire family will be implicated if this ends badly.
See, this is compelling.
I would become the meal.
The politics and everything and the dynamic of the family and the surreal kind ofness of the vampire family catering to her, the nice, charming warmness, but then also Rosalie coming in and bringing them back down to reality. It's compelling. It's compelling stuff. I find myself sinking into this scene for a lot of reasons, for those reasons that I just said. As much as it's answering questions and revealing more of this mystery, it's still retaining that mystery because Rosalie's coming at her and being like, yeah, this could end badly. You don't understand. There's so much you're not aware of how this could all end horribly for us. As the audience right now, you don't quite know everything or the implications of this and the future implications. And as much as, yeah, we've got this charming scene, we've got this conflict coming in as well, and just keeping the audience engaged.
Sorry, Jasper's our newest vegetarian.
It's okay, Jasper. You won't hurt her.
All right.
Jasper's face and then Edward's face there was perfect.
I think that went well.
Clean this up.
Yeah, it did. Rosalie, you gotta control that though. Come on.
It's kind of miserable. I mean, repeating high school over and over.
Legit, that's so depressing. Yeah, for real. That's the most hard to believe thing about this whole film is that they want to do high school again. Like, for real. That's interesting. A little detail that I never noticed before. I feel like Robert's trying to convey that he's trying really hard not to hurt her when he touches her, because obviously he's so strong. Sorry, I just saw his expression. I was like, what is that? But I think that's what it was. Just here. That. The kind of I suppose her getting closer to him too. But I think all of that, right? Oh, she's done a twist. Is she quirky now? Oh, I know what's coming.
Better hold on tight, spider monkey.
I know a lot of people complain about that and cringe, but like, again, it's not, is it that bad? I guess it's an odd choice of words, right? As cringe, I guess, as maybe it could be perceived. That image of him climbing up the tree like a spider almost is very reminiscent of like Bram Stoker's Dracula. There's like a scene, I think, or a recollection of him like climbing on the outside of his walls like a beast, like his castle walls like a beast. That's what it reminds me of. As much as, yeah, like I say, there's this perception of this cringe or this new age of vampire because of the spider monkey line. Well, it's funny how what follows that is almost a very accurate representation of this grotesque vampire, this creature, this monster crawling up the tree, and again represents this combination of things in this film of like these two sides, this genre of teen romance and, you know, the horror vampire grotesque. Okay, sorry, no, so Charlie is on their tail. It's very minimal though, and he's not solo, right? I guess that's kind of, and why would he do it solo? That's fair, that makes sense, but I feel like that could have been done slightly differently to make it more, because I don't feel anything. He feels very safe, and he feels outside of the story.
So you and Cullen, huh? I don't like it.
All right, mate, judgy. You got big Xander energy, mate.
Here's your veggie plate, Stephanie.
Definitely.
Looks like your friends are flagging you. What about any of these other yahoos in town? Anybody interest you?
Dad, we can talk about boys?
Yeah, I guess not.
Yeah, see, this is the most since the film started that we're getting for, you know, character development wise or relationship, or the development of their relationship wise of Bella and Charlie. I wish we'd have got more. You know, it was what we were introduced to the film with, and we're coming back to it, and I wish there was, yeah, I don't know, just a want for me, I guess. I just wish there was a little bit more, or a little bit more integration for his character into the wider plot. And I get there's peripheral integration in the scene we just saw of him following the other three vampires, right? The aggressive vampires. But yeah, I just feel like there was maybe a better way to integrate that. He feels very on the outskirts.
I don't really mind being alone.
Yeah, that's okay.
I guess I'm kind of like my dad in that way.
See, a point of similarity between you two.
Could a guy have anything to do with that? Come on, we gotta talk boys. Are you being safe?
I feel like a good balance of parenting. Well, I say that. I feel like she's got no one looking over her. I feel like Charlie, this is the thing. I feel like Charlie's very standoffish. In some ways, that's a good thing. But then again, her mum's very standoffish too. But in a good way as well, you know, like, you know, she's treating the sex question well. It's like, you've been safe, you know, rather than being like, no, don't do that. She's been like, well, you're going to do it anyway. You've been safe, just make sure. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's a good aspect. But then at the same time, yeah, she's very ungoverned, I feel like, Bella. But then again, we've seen that she's mature too. Do you know what I mean?
I like watching you sleep. It's kind of fascinating to me.
Okay, hear me out though. That sounds creepy at face value. I feel like a lot of couples do that though.
Don't move.
Oh, the tension.
Stop! I can't ever lose control with you.
Oh man, could you imagine the alternate future where he just devours her completely, and then we go on this like really blood crazy, I'm so sorry, this is again fan fiction, but like, oh my god, that journey, he just destroys everything.
I have a date with Edward Cullen.
I thought you didn't like any of the boys in town.
Edward doesn't live in town.
Gotcha, Charlie, mate.
Yeah, he wanted to meet you.
All right. Bring him in.
See, I think the guy playing Charlie is genuinely really, really good. Give him more to do.
Chief Swan, I wanted to formally introduce myself.
Oh my god, the way that he looks like he's introducing himself to a large bird.
Chief Swan.
Could you imagine?
Baseball? Well, good luck with that.
I'll take good care of her, I promise.
Just imagining a swan with a cap on. Arguably like a really cool scene, to be fair. Alright, chill man. You're literally immortal. Don't let the girl get to you, dude. Yeah, they've got an obsession, a little bit of an obsession with monkeys, haven't they? Man, now he's shirtless. What? I get that they don't get cold, man, but like...
I am Laurent.
Yeah, I always found Laurent a really interesting character. I wish she was around for a bit longer, you know?
Could you use 3 more players? Few of us were leaving. You could take their place.
Oh man, it's literally Bella in the way of like, these guys get, well no, that's not true. James is getting in the way really, isn't he? But god damn it, they could have just all got on and had a nice game of baseball. Lost opportunities. Box. Alright, down boy. The poses.
I can see the game is over. We'll go now.
Yeah, see, Laurent is so level-headed. He's much more of an interesting character that we just didn't really see. And I get why, you know, James is more of the villain. And that's the point, Laurent is not a villain.
He's never gonna stop.
What should we do?
We have to kill him. Rip him apart and burn the pieces.
See? Like, the fact that we went from 0 to 100 is very compelling.
My dad is there. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, there's that very real danger. This danger that we keep getting spoken of is actually real. And also, it's touching Charlie, right? But I wish I cared more about Charlie at this point. I've only really seen the beginnings of him and her relationship and Bella's relationship. And I feel like the stakes could be higher.
I'm leaving now.
Oh, right, yeah, she does the whole thing of striking out against Charlie. Oh, I hate this bit.
I can't hurt him.
You do.
Bella, what's going on?
You just have to.
Ugh. Oh, and you know, this is the thing as well. Actually, no, to be fair, okay, this does hurt me a little bit. They've done a good enough job that this hurts, man.
I thought you liked him.
Like, bless him. There's nothing that Charlie did here.
You can sleep on it. You still feel like going in the morning, I'll take you to the airport.
Yeah, fair enough. No, okay, fair enough. I do take it back. This hits.
Bella, I know I'm not that much fun to be around, but I can change that.
Oh,
We can do more stuff together.
Charlie, I'll do something with you, mate. Don't worry about it. I drink beer. We can drink beer.
Like watch baseball on the flat screen?
Oh, no. But he's happy.
You, that's not me.
Oh, but he's happy. Oh, I actually feel so much for Charlie right now. My goodness.
I just got you back.
Oh.
Yeah, and you know, if I don't get out now, then I'm just gonna be stuck here like Mom.
Oh my god. You, Bella. Sorry, I know the circumstances. Oh man. Oh, that hurt him so much. Poor guy. Oh, and he does. He has a nice life here. He enjoys it, and I get it, right? It's this fixation we've all got of in regard to ambition and, you know, not sticking around and just having like a nice bit. Like, clearly Charlie likes his life. You know, he's got a job. He has his regular cobbler every Thursday. People do this, and it's perfectly fine as long as people are happy. Do you? Do you know what I mean? Oh, Charlie. It's gonna be fine, mate. Honestly, it's not. I'm not okay.
Your father's gonna forgive you.
He better, mate.
You should have seen his face.
You better buy that man's from Cobbler's, man.
The same thing that my mom told him when she was leaving him.
It's the only way he'll let you go.
Was it? I don't know, man. We could have spitballed a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Get the whiteboard up.
Just don't worry about him now.
I am. She's seen for the first time the life she's chosen. That normalcy arrayed before her there and the situation she's in now, the stark contrast. It's only now hitting her.
He came to warn us about James.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, see? I knew there was a reason that I liked him.
Why? What is she to me?
She's part of this family now.
Well, it's very new though, isn't it? Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because like I said before, it's very pacey, but I feel like it slowed down when it got to the romance stuff, and it's speeding up again now, you know, from, I guess, the baseball until now. Like, we've picked up the pace again. I feel like at the beginning it was a strength, slowing down again once they'd established the relationship, and to focus on the romance, I think, primarily, again, was, you know, obviously shifting towards the teen romance side of the genre that they're kind of flitting in and out of. And then they've sped up again when it's getting to the, I guess, the vampire, the dark, the grotesque, that side of the genre. I don't know. I think at this point, maybe that's a weakness. Like, do you know what I mean? I feel like we're moving quite quickly. And actually, this is the stuff maybe that I'd be more interested in. But then conversely, I feel like maybe a faster pace actually makes this feel more dangerous. It is. There's supposed to be this element of fear, of anxiety. And, you know, things are moving fast. And I feel like that elicits that in the audience as well. Things are moving too quick for me to quite process. So I'm like, oh God, you know what I mean? It kind of subtly invigorates this idea of anxiety in me as the audience watching it, which is, you know, representative of what Bella's going through and what the family are going through and what you're supposed to be feeling from it as well. So it's like, it's weird, isn't it? It's a double-edged sword. I'm not sure. I'm saying it's too quick, but at the same time, the quickness of it is eliciting that in me. So it's like, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Maybe both. I think for me, actually, it comes out a little bit in the positive now that I think about it, truthfully. We've got half an hour left, actually, which, to be fair, as much as I'm talking about pace, it's a lot of the film left to go. Little subtle hint of the life that she could have with Edward. For the first time, maybe thinking about what it's like maybe if I was a vampire. From Bella's perspective there. I'll be honest with you, I do not remember any of this.
I'll do whatever it takes to make you safe again.
Starting to see the first notes of the torture that he's putting himself through about putting her in this danger. And perhaps the first little notes of next film.
I'd never given much thought to how I would die.
Right, there we go. How it began. I forgot about that. I will be completely honest with you.
I can't bring myself to regret the decisions that brought me face to face with death.
Yeah, and I feel like this point in the film absolutely relies on the relationship that we've seen in the film so far built between Edward and Bella. And I feel like they've done enough to actually get you there. You've got to be invested as the audience, or this means nothing in their relationship, or this means absolutely nothing. Her being like, yeah, it was all worth it. I don't regret it. You know, I wouldn't have gone back and I'm still okay with being with Edward and all that stuff. Like that's kind of vital for you as the audience to believe that that's real. I'd be like, dude, come on, is it not time to quit, you know, to cut ties? But I believe from her perspective that she feels that, because the film's done enough to actually show me that they built a relationship and they did have some chemistry. Because it was in science class. All right, behave yourself. That scene and the scenes that they had to actually show that relationship building was so important to this point now, and me as the audience not losing interest, even though I'm not necessarily as invested in the teen romance side of the story. It doesn't matter, because they have done enough for me as the audience to be like, I believe that she feels that.
You're a wonderful dancer.
You've been fooled, mate. I do feel like, to be fair, that we've got to this point too quick. We barely know James. I feel like there was a lot of time and effort, and I absolutely understand why. And it clearly worked. People liked this film, right? It spawned a franchise that is what it is. But I do feel like, yeah, they did focus a lot on the love interest between Bella and Edward to the detriment of all else, which again, I literally just praised it. But at the same time, we're now at this point. James is here, and that line, I feel like, that Edward said to Bella, yeah, no, he's well into the hunt, dude, and he's got your scent and he'll never stop. I just feel like we rushed that character of James. We got his whole character in that line. James feels quite empty, and I feel like that's reflected in the whole film, is that Charlie also, I mean, I say that, I was going to say Charlie feels quite empty because we haven't focused on, I feel like Charlie himself isn't empty. I do feel like the scenes that we've got of Charlie have actually shown a lot of character. That's true. I guess what is lacking from that for me is the relationship growth maybe between Charlie and Bella, and I guess that's the point as well. That's not the focus of the film. I don't think the film necessarily needed it. I just feel like they could have maybe done more with that to tie it into the main plot of the film. It's a very light thing, but I feel like James is the prime antagonist, honestly, of the film. He is. He's a very one-dimensional villain. I've been told about James a lot. Laurent has communicated James's character, and Edward has communicated James's character. I've not actually seen it, and I get that there's been murders and stuff and blah blah blah, but that's not associated necessarily with James. It was associated with the trio and with him and Victoria as well. Do you know what I mean? So James as an entity on his own hasn't been built to a point that I feel danger. He doesn't feel dangerous despite all of that because of how it's been done.
Beautiful. Very visually dynamic.
Is he just raw dogging that jacket? He's got nothing underneath. Dude, you must have chapped nipples. That's all I'll say. Protect yourself. Oh, I forgot about that. There we go. Oh man, she just went through that with a broken leg. Ouch. Oh my god. To be fair to her, she's getting beat up, man. Okay, no, that's cool. No, see, this is cool. They're doing this really nicely, this fight. Like, I don't know what he just did, man. Like, what was that? It looked like he spat out some false teeth. Do you know what I mean?
Son, remember who you are.
Alright, Mufasa.
Oh, God.
Oh,
Start the fire. Get the floorboard.
man, brutal, huh? Ho, ho, ho. See, that's cool, man. There, see, and we're back to the grotesque, the horror element, and I love that, and I think that's brilliant that they're still dipping into that side of things here.
You can try to suck the venom out.
No, I won't be able to stop.
Find the wheel.
See, this is a really nice character. Again, Edward's character is so interesting.
Make you go away, Bill.
This choice and the will to stop. Oh, hello. I do know that Robert sang this, to be fair. I have no idea what the words are, though. Honestly, listen to that song. You tell me one word. Impossible. That's not one of the words. I'm saying it's impossible.
Edward, stop.
Oh, this is a great ending. Imagine if he killed her.
Stop.
Oh, to be fair, I can see the words. I don't know, man. It doesn't sound like that. Below say it, I will wrap you in. That actually, to be fair, that does sound like that. Fair play to him.
Do you mind getting Dad?
Please apologise to that man. Thank you.
The woman, Victoria, she ran off.
Yeah, I think for what they were going for, that ending worked though. Like, as much as I talk about James and them not building him up, and I still believe that, right? I do think that the story they're telling was what that ending served. The whole point, the through line, was this thing that Edward has and the introduction of this new vampire, not drinking human blood, him having the strength to resist it. I feel like a film like this, it's like, oh, she's obviously going to get turned at the end of the film, right? And I feel like that's what it was playing with, and that dynamic and the relationship between Edward and Bella, which is the focus of the film, came into play, and that's why it ended that way. And I feel like that's probably why they didn't, give as much attention to James. As much as I, was talking against how it went with him and his character and his depiction, I think for the story that they were telling, it makes sense.
You can't leave me.
I'm here.
I totally get his decision making in book 2, film 2, of just leaving. Of being that old, you'd be like, she's 17, it's fine, she'll get over it. Perfectly rational decision. To be fair, doesn't he go to the Volturi? Absolutely not rational. Dumb move, Edward, I'll be honest with you. Like, you got it in the first half, right? But, oh man, I'm not gonna lie, these two should have had more scenes together.
You're perfect.
The look.
I'll take care of it, Chief Swan.
Quack, quack, motherfucker. Sorry, that's a duck.
My dad paid me to come talk to you.
Nice, how much?
$20.
Oh, you could have bumped him up a little bit, mate.
He wants you to break up with your boyfriend.
Man, did he wear a wig for this? Because he should have kept the long hair, dude.
Quote, we'll be watching you.
Bit creepy. She's 17, lad.
Oh, let me help you.
Take from here.
Alright, to be fair, there's no need for this animosity. I get it. I get that there's some kind of cultural thing. I get it. But, like, for real, just calm down.
I leave you alone for 2 minutes, and the wolves descend.
Yeah.
You don't want this.
I want you.
When you think about it, it's crazy, the age that she's deciding to be a vampire. Do you know what I mean?
That's what you dream about, becoming a monster.
But yeah, I do also get the hesitation. I would be hesitant, if I were Edward, to turn a 17-year-old girl. Just let her grow up a little bit first. Let her make her mind up properly. Because you're not the same when you're 17 as you are when you're even 21, I feel like. And then even when you get a few more years, 25, you're different. I get the hesitation. There we go. There we go. A little bit of sequel bait. I like it. And hey, nothing wrong with a sequel if you've told a story from start, middle to finish, right? And I feel like they've done that. They've absolutely done that. They earned their sequel. I mean, hey, look, that's the question, isn't it? How does it stand up? What do I think? I like the film. My opinion of it hasn't really changed. I remember at the time really liking it. I still like it. I think the first film is probably, at least for me, the best. But I absolutely see this more fondly as like an individually a good vampire film. It does something original. It retains enough of the horror, the grotesque for me. That's the interesting thing, isn't it? These two things, these two warring sides that I've talked about a few times in this video. I think going forward from here, at least from what I remember, they move much more towards the teen romance. I mean, I feel like we all remember, if we were there, Team Edward, Team Jacob. It was that almost overpowered the films, playing this, these two sides against each other, right? The wolves, the vampires, Jacob, Edward. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it lost, again, this is going from my memory, but I feel like it lost some of what this film captured. And I feel like for me, that's what made me think less of the sequels. I think this is a really genuinely good standalone film. I think the character study of Edward and the questions that could be raised in regard to his character and the ending and him having the will to stop and this idea of this almost new vampirism of, they feed on animals and blah. And again, I know that there are some people that don't like that stuff, but I think it worked for this film. And I think the originality that they were trying to go for in representing vampires in a different way, I think it works. And hey, I like that. I like when people do different things with established media. Not all the time, it depends how they do it, but I think they did it well in this film. I think cringe factor wise, I honestly think more often than not, the actors nailed it, or at least did the best that they could with the material. I think to a certain extent, the cringiest stuff, I guess, is maybe the elements in the forest when Bella first finds out, right? There's only so much you can do when you've got to go like, you know what I mean? And like strike poses and stuff. And I think for the most part, they pull it off in this film. I can absolutely see how a franchise came from this film. I do feel, at least for me, the franchise became something that was a little bit too far away from this to retain any amount of longevity in the public mind. It's something that was like really good. And hey, maybe you disagree, and that's absolutely fair. Let me know down in the comments what you think. Thank you very much for watching. Hey, if you've enjoyed this, want some more content, give the old subscribe. That helps me out a great deal. Hey, very near 5,000 subs, mate. Just get me closer. Just get me one closer, please. But if you don't want to, that's also fine. Learn to say no. Thank you, as always, to my beautiful patrons. Thank you so much for your support. And hey, other than that, that's all we got time for here. Thank you very much, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.